On October 18th, 2025, the street of America filled once again with voices, signs, and a single defiant message: no kings. From New York to Los Angeles, from small towns in Texas to college campuses in the Midwest, millions of Americans poured into the streets. They weren't celebrating. They were warning. The message was simple: no one is above the people, and no president is a king. The No Kings movement didn't appear overnight. Its roots stretch back to the first wave of protests in June 2025, a nationwide demonstration known as the 50501 movement, short for 50 protests, 50 states, one message. That first protest drew millions, all united by a shared fear that democracy in America was beginning to tilt toward authoritarianism. When organizers called for a second wave in October, few expected the response to be this massive. By nightfall, more than 7 million people had reportedly joined across 2,700 locations. The crowds came in all forms: teachers, nurses, veterans, artists, and even former government workers. Many carried handmade signs that read, "No crowns in a republic. Power belongs to the people." The spark that reignited the protests came from the White House itself. In early October, President Trump had released a controversial AI-generated video, one that depicted him wearing a golden crown, flying over protesters in a jet labeled King Trump. In the video, digital protesters below were drenched in brown liquid as the president smiled down. To his supporters, it was satire. To his critics, it was prophecy. For many, that video wasn't a joke. It was a symbol of how far the presidency had drifted from accountability. Within hours, hashtags like #NoKings and number 50501 surged across social media. By the end of the week, a new call went out. October 18th, every state, every city, every voice. And people answered. It began early in the morning. In Washington, D.C., crowds gathered around the Capitol, chanting, "No kings, no crowns, democracy now." In Chicago, an ocean of protesters filled Grant Park, holding banners painted with flames and the Constitution. In Los Angeles, drone footage showed a line of marchers stretching for miles. There were moments of silence, powerful, deliberate pauses for reflection on the nation's founding principles. Then came waves of sound, music, drums, and chants echoing through the streets. Despite fears of violence, the protests were remarkably peaceful. Cities like New York reported 0 arrests. Police officers and demonstrators stood shoulder to shoulder, some even taking photos together. The sense of unity, at least of that day, was undeniable. Ask any protester why they came, and the answers differed. But the emotion was the same. Some feared the erosion of civil liberties. Others pointed to increasing executive power and attacks on the press. Many cited immigration raids, voting restrictions, or simply the belief that dissent was being criminalized. To them, No Kings was about more than one man. It was about a system straining under the weight of its own contradictions. One protester in Philadelphia told reporters, "We're here because America was built to reject monarchy, but somehow we're drifting back toward it." Another in Austin, Texas said, "It's not about hate. It's about history. We've seen where unchecked power leads, and we won't let it happen again." For older generations, it felt like déjà vu, echoes of the Vietnam War protests or the civil rights marches of the 1960s. For younger Americans, it was their first taste of collective resistance. Inside the political world, reactions were swift and polarized. Republican leaders dismissed the protests as theatrical or un-American. House Speaker Mike Johnson went as far as calling them hate rallies against America itself. Meanwhile, Democrats praised the movement as a testament to the nation's enduring right to dissent. On social media, the divide grew sharper. Clips of Trump's AI king videos spread like wildfire, while others countered with images of peaceful protesters waving flags and carrying the Constitution. Cable networks covered the protests live. But even in coverage, bias bled through. Some headlines framed it as a rebellion, others as a patriotic defense of democracy. The question hovering over everything was the same. Was this the start of something, or just another weekend of noise? Behind the chants and the banners lies a deeper story, one about identity. America has always lived with tension between freedom and authority, between the governed and those who govern. The No Kings protest became a mirror reflecting that tension. It showed a country divided, but also alive, a country still willing to argue for what it believes in. Political scientists point to what's called the 3.5% rule, the idea that just 3.5% of a nation's population engages in sustained, nonviolent protest. It can force meaningful change. The organizers of No Kings say that's their goal. To them, this isn't the end. It's only the beginning. They're planning follow-up rallies, community organizing drives, and voter mobilization efforts ahead of the 2026 midterms. Whether that momentum holds remains to be seen. But what's clear is that a large portion of Americans no longer feel represented, and they're not staying silent. As the sun set on October 18th, chants still echoed through city streets. Drone shots captured endless streams of people, lights, signs, and movement blending into one living map of democracy in motion. By midnight, cleanup crews swept through the parks. Flags came down. Streets reopened. But something intangible lingered, a sense that the nation had crossed an invisible line. For some, it was hope. For others, it was fear. But for everyone watching, it was history, written not in laws or decrees, but in footsteps. The No Kings protest wasn't about overthrowing a leader. It was about reminding one in the nation that America has no throne. Because in the end, democracy survives not through silence, but through voices loud, imperfect, and unafraid to say, No Kings. Like and subscribe for more videos like this.